Okay. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of NASA 5E. I am the DM du jour, Corey. We're going back to the Eberron coast. Last time out, I'm getting an echo from somebody.
Let me check because that happens to me sometimes.
I'm
Can you talk?
talking now. These are the words that I'm saying as a mic test. I don't hear an echo now, though.
Okay. I didn't see my thing blip.
Okay. All right. So last time out, the party got the deepest they've ever been in some downtime. Um, we did a lot of really cool stuff. So I had a hard time trying to write a recap that wasn't just going to be exhaustive in detail. But trainings were finished. Stock started an adventuring business. Nevis traveled the land to check on people. Vendi created some policy, and Xandalar did some more secret and cryptic things. I have some updates on things that Vendi was working on here that I'll go into, as well as a bit of exposition. But then I want you guys to prepare yourselves to discuss as a party what your next move is going to be. So, Vendi, as a follow up, a rider was attached to the census for reporting missing persons belonging to your house for the sake of ease of reporting, as well as helping clear up questions on how to count those individuals in the census. The instruction was to count missing persons as though they were still a part of your household, which they are until proven otherwise. At the time of the census, between Neverwinter and Fairhaven, the city of Winter's Haven currently has 1,784 people missing.
Okay.
Um, as per another policy that you wanted to get put into place, a training center has been established, allowing for people whose vocation has been affected or entirely interrupted to begin training on advanced agricultural techniques to maximize the yield and use of space.
Mhm.
Farmland begins to pop up all along the coast between Luskin and as far south as the Mirror of Dead Man allows. Farmers from many places across the Eberron coast actually wind up attending these courses and training seminars in order to help them improve their farms as well. Initially, there's a sharp increase in the cost of produce as demand skyrockets and immediately exceeds supply. Because of this, there's a foundation of a new shipping guild, which is an offshoot of the Merchants Guild, which handles exclusively the shipping of goods across the Eberron coast. They utilize shipping by sea and land, and this creates a lot of jobs in many cities along the coast. Where is that coming from now? I think, yeah, it's coming from you again. You got, um, what was I? I got very distracted by the echo.
Uh, Teamsters have been built using road and sea.
Oh, right. Yes. It creates a lot of jobs in many cities along the coast. Baldur's Gate actually leads the way in this by expanding their Teamsters numbers to allow movement of goods through the city, as was previously done, since the roads there don't support animals and dragons. If you guys remember that from Tyranny of Dragons when you went through Baldur's Gate. Eventually, this spreads north through Waterdeep and Winter's Haven, as well as Luskin. With the increase in Teamsters actually comes about a reduction in crime rates as more people with no artisanal or agricultural skill, so to speak, are finally given an outlet for their muscle. Adventurers are actually becoming shorter in supply as the Shipping Guild has strict guidelines on protection required for shipments. This increases shipping costs, but the frequency of shipments, as well as the increased loads from the uptick in organization, winds up driving down the costs to the consumer.
Overall
Most
net
people
positive
around
or
the Sword
negative?
Coast expected the Zentarum to have some sort of hand in supplying sellswords for the Shipping Guild, but their touch has been noticeably absent in the proceedings.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but overall, is that a net
Um,
positive, negative, or we kept the price of food the same?
so that's all I have for updates on the stuff that you were working on, Vendi.
Can anybody hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, and then as far as all of you guys go, these things are all sort of happening simultaneously, but over the course of about a 10-day or so, you begin to develop a very persistent itch. Stock, yours is on the right side of your face. It gets so bad at times that you actually have to excuse yourself so that you can remove your helm and address the issue. Nevis and Uvender, your itch is on the left side of your neck. Xanalor, you have a similar issue and it's on your right forearm. The spot where your incessant itch originates begins to darken over the course of the 10-day. It begins to change in skin color from your own, and strange shapes begin to appear in that spot as well. By the end of the 10-day, your mark has fully manifested. Shades of blue-purple, it shimmers very slightly in certain lighting. Except for you, Stock. Yours is the deepest black. It is so black that it appears to absorb the light instead of reflecting it, resulting in a strange phenomenon that isn't dull, but still the opposite of shiny. During the few days preceding the end of the 10-day where your mark manifests, and a couple of days immediately following, you notice people out in the public scratching vigorously. You see some people with strange markings the same or similar as your own. Some people you notice rather conspicuously covering parts of their bodies in an effort, you assume, to cover their own marks. I'm going to share this with you guys really quick so that you can see kind of what I'm talking about. Your guys' marks appear in about a 1x1 square area. They look relatively similar with slight differences in the pattern. Except for, like I said, Stock, yours is not that color. Yours is like Vanta black. Nevis, you notice that whenever you're near Stock, and sort of randomly when you're out on the street, your mark on your neck tingles. Xanalor, you actually notice something similar, but not when you're around any party members. So you guys can go ahead and level up to 9. What has happened essentially is you've been given a dragon mark. I changed all of your races to be just a marked version of your race. Everything you had previously is the exact same. You will notice, though, that some of your ability scores have been improved by another 1 because you've gotten, basically, you guys have gotten all of the benefits of your prior race plus the benefits of your Dragon Marks race. You'll notice, most of you, when you level up, that there will be some extra spells in your spell list. Those come from your dragon mark and should be displayed to you in D&D Beyond. If there are any questions or anything like that about it, feel free to ask me after the session. Xanalor, if any of the spells that you got interfere with ones that you already had, we can talk about allowing you to change some of the spells that you selected at previous levels. I know that changing spells as a warlock is a very different kind of thing.
Yeah.
The marks that you guys got are essentially chosen by you from a list of things that your character either sort of held as a virtue to them or things that you did over the course of the Arcanoclism. those dream sequences that we did last time were essentially a way for you guys to choose from those 3 options which one kind of resonated the most with you. Just so you guys know, as players, these dragon marks will level up with you for a period of time. You'll get more powers from them as you go.
Right.
I got a spell, guys.
Yeah. Is that your first one?
Mm-hmm.
And I was this is something that we can talk about kind of over the course of time here as you guys level up and we find if there's any bugs in the homebrew races I created. And we'll kind of go from there.
Upside to being a fighter is it's real quick for me to level up.
Mike, are you playing out in the living room today, or are you just out there taking care of some business?
Children are in my room, doors open.
Gotcha.
Trying to get them to shoo. Yeah.
Are we? No rush. If we are we still waiting on anyone to finish their level up?
Mine is done.
Okay.
I was just
Uh,
through the rest of it. A little clarification though. You said that the dragon mark that I've received, my spidey sense is activated when I'm near stock. And then what was the other part of that?
Kind of randomly when you're out in public, there'll be like whenever you're in spaces where there are other people, you will occasionally also get that same tingle.
And how about with the rest of the party members?
Nope, just stock.
Just weirdness. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
on the race, there are
Mhm.
some choices not made. Do I make those, or are they intentionally left blank?
Well, let me take a look really quick. I thought I double checked that. It might just be because of you. Oh, it's because you're a half elf, so you choose those the ability scores to get increased and the skill versatility in languages. I forgot that would be a thing for the half elves. So you would just go back and pick the things that you had picked previously.
Gotcha. Okay. I think it was this.
Also, don't forget, Ovender, you did learn a little bit about Moonweaver last time and how whenever he would entertain guests, he would rent out an establishment instead of doing so at his house. And you have those three residences that you talked to the former City Watch captain about.
Oh no, I don't know what I did.
All right. I'm also going to give you guys some local rumors, things that you guys have been hearing over your course of time. Vendi, these are things that you probably would have picked up during your work with the Stewart and also with the advisory council. Stock, these are things that you would have heard from the guild members of your adventuring guild. Obviously, you guys, hear snippets of these things while moving about on the streets and things like that. Nevis, you've heard some of these things as well. There is word of a bloody dwarven civil war in the Marar Holds that has reached the coastal cities. Over the course of around 10 days since you start hearing this rumor, you see several smithing, farrier, and like precious gems / metal shops and stalls close, as the dwarves that work there are reported to have taken up arms and joined the cause. No information regarding peace talks has been heard. Most people that have heard of this believe that this civil war is just beginning and has the potential to be a very long one. On the flip side of that coin, in more than one regard, there are reports of some large, clearly elven structures appearing in the former High Forest, a region now dominated by an Eberron region called the Eldine Reaches. The elves there are rumored to have reached an accords almost immediately and have begun rebuilding their once splendid kingdoms. This has caused some civil unrest, as many races find themselves chafed at the idea of elves regaining some of that glory that they already carried themselves with haughtily. Also, and Xanalor, this may be of particular interest to you, there have been many protests and even a few riots in Winter's Haven and across sort of the coastal cities of the Sword Coast regarding information that the Mages College of Neverwinter, in cooperation with the Mages Colleges of Luskan, have published and made available to the public. The merger of the Sword Coast and Eberron has brought about many a new technology. It seems that the people of Eberron had become dependent on the use of something called a Kyber Dragon Shard, which are crystalline stones that have the harnessed energy of an elemental trapped within. There is a sharp curve that starts with outraged as a baseline and then goes along the axis of anger and people impacted most by the Arcanoclism. Rumors have also been popping up about people going missing. Not people having disappeared as a result of the Arcanoclism, but people have been vanishing. The rumors are widespread. There are people vanishing in every city, so it would seem. People have also reported more frequently as disappearing near a region known as the Shadow Marches. And the last bit of information, the new to the Sword Coast city of Sharn was a frequent source of information about goings-on south of the Demon Wastes. But the city has fallen completely silent. No expeditions that have been sent through the wastes have reported back yet. So with that, we need to find out what you guys what your guys' move is, if there is one.
That's a lot of shit.
Right.
Don't all talk at once.
I'm trying to take stock of what I've learned.
Well, what stands out to me is missing adventurers below the demon wastes. That just sounds like a fun time.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I too am overwhelmed by the amount of information. I guess I'm going to take my spidey sense and stick with Stock if he's going to go down there after some lost adventurers.
Mm-hmm.
I did give you guys a lot of information. I understand. If there's anything you need me to repeat so that you can write things down or anything like that, or anything that you had questions on, we can also take care of that.
Now, the one that stood out to me was the demon wastes. I am interested in those power crystal deals, though, but I figure, if anything, adventuring through these new terrains will hopefully allow us to glean some information on those. Or we could go fuck up some elves. I'm down for any option that involves violence, so 1 or 3 for me. Fuck up some elves or go to the demon wastes.
Why do we have to hurt the elves?
I didn't say hurt them, I said fuck them up. We can do that mentally and permanently scar them forever. Without ever laying a hand on them.
The 2 items of priority for Vendi would be probably to handle the riots inside Winter's Haven, and then secondarily looking at the Dwarven Civil War, since it would be affecting the local economy. And now I'm going to mute my mic again because there's a louder hip hop song coming on.
I want to get my hands on one of these Kyber Dragon Shards. When they published that, was there anything indicating where those come from?
So one of the issues with those is it's a a technology from the Eberron region. So not a lot is known about that from the people who are researching it.
Okay. It was not in the publication.
Right, yeah. So basically what was in the publication, these were discovered by, based on the authors. Hildrath and Viren were like lead authors on this paper. They discovered that the airships were being powered by these shards. They were able to discern that the source of power for the ship was coming from this shard, and then once they started doing experiments on them, they learned that these shards have an affinity for binding magics, and that the magics that were bound to the shards in the airships were elementals. So yeah, I mean, kind of as a party, what are you guys gonna settle on doing? We don't really have a lot of these conversations, but you guys have a lot on your plates, and individually you've all got your own priorities. But I think that we should, for once, resolve between the four of you what collectively you want to do.
So I'd be down for squashing a civil war.
That does sound pressing.
And dwarves are known to be craftsmen. And the civil war is between the elves and the dwarves, or is it between the dwarves and someone else?
Dwarves and other dwarves.
Dwarves and other dwarves?
The Eberron dwarves and the Sword Coast dwarves, right?
Well, odds are, since dwarves are craftsmen and these crystals that you are interested in come from Eberron, that these dwarves have some knowledge of said crystals and possibly how to make them. So maybe we go squash the civil war and try and glean some information on these crystals at the same time. Either way, I get to be violent.
Yeah, and guess what, guys? I just spent a bunch of money on a Rosetta Stone for Dwarven.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Here, ask me how to say something in Dwarven.
How do you say something in Dwarven?
Well, you just did it. Great job.
I am getting restless here, so
That
getting out of
being-
the Civil War, that works.
That being said, I think we're in a unique situation where we can have individuals who can research the next thing we want to tackle down. Like, what's the second item on our agenda? We can get our research team to figure out what's going on, and then we can hit the ground running. Like, we don't have to do our own recon anymore.
I do have minions now.
Yeah.
If the Dwarven Civil War ends or ends up having some connection to the crystals, then there's obvious second action right there.
And DM, remind me, the
Mhm.
Kyber crystal existence is the reason for the riots in Winter's Haven.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so that
It's mostly just very vocal public outcry over something that sounds a lot like whatever caused the catastrophe that has led to the merger of these
Yeah.
planes.
So I mean,
Well-
there's a straight line into how do we make sure to keep the peace.
So I happen to have at my disposal an elf, a half-elf, and a gnome that I could send to go talk to the elves.
Do we really want an elf to talk to other elves? I feel like the aloofness there will find their conversations outside of reality.
That's why I'm sending the gnome with. And a half-elf.
Won't the elves be more forthcoming with the other elves?
I mean, I feel like elves aren't forthcoming, period. Aloof is kind of one of their defining traits.
But the aloofness is understood.
I think we definitely got something going with the half-elf. Someone with a foot in each world and accepted by neither.
I'm accepted by neither. That tracks.
Yeah.
Well, I could send a human bard or a tiefling. That sounds good.
Actually, I think those pairing with the half-elf would be a smashing crew. An individual that doesn't give a fuck about anything other than reaching a deal. One who's probably more good at writing and performing oratory. And then one who can understand the other side's opposition research. I think that's a great team.
Fuck it, I'll send them all.
Okay, cool.
7 of them. 7-man party.
Why
Go
leave
fix
any
this
stone
shit.
unturned?
Exactly.
All right, so you are sending your adventuring guildmates to do what exactly?
Be an envoy for Vendi about stopping this elven conquest bullshit.
What
Yeah.
elven so the elves are just like, so why don't you guys go ahead and roll a history check for me, the two of you.
Okay. Whatever Stock says at the end of it, I'm just gonna say it's like, okay, so that's what you've been told. The real job is you are ambassadors to establish a foothold in this Elvish kingdom to make sure we know what they want.
History. I rolled a 10.
That's a 17.
17. Okay, so Vendi, you recall a bit about the history of the elves, and it's a history that has been borne out across many different fantasy genres, right? The elves are some of the oldest creatures, some of the first creatures in any realm.
Or
And
Tolkien is.
I mean, Tolkien, even the Witcher,
Dragon.
yeah,